The winter wind howled across the Volga River like a wounded animal, tearing through the skeletal remains of what once had been a proud industrial metropolis. Stalingrad, a city built to symbolize Soviet industry and resilience, now stood as a twisted, smoldering corpse of steel and stone. Its skyline, once defined by smokestacks and factories, was now a jagged graveyard of broken walls, shattered windows, and the blackened ribs of ruined buildings clawing toward the frozen sky. The year was 1942. The world was already drowning in blood and fire, yet Stalingrad represented something far greater than a battle. It became the axis on which the entire war would turn, the place where ideology, ambition, and human endurance collided in a storm of unimaginable brutality. And within that storm were the people, soldiers, civilians, commanders, children, each tracked in the gears of a war machine that cared nothing for survival, only victory. This is their story, one not of glory, but of suffering, not of triumph, but of survival. A story buried beneath ash, ice, and mass graves. This is the untold story of Stalingrad. To understand the frozen hell that Stalingrad became, one must look to Berlin, months before the first German soldier set eyes on the Volga. Hitler, intoxicated by victory after victory, believed the Soviet Union was collapsing. Army Group South surged forward in Operation Blau, slicing through the Caucasus, hungry for the oil fields of Baku. Fuel, liquid gold, was the lifeblood of his war machine, and Germany was running dry. But the city by the Volga bore a name that ignited Hitler's ego like gasoline to flame: Stalingrad. A city named after Stalin. A city Hitler wanted to erase from the world map. What began as a strategic objective turned into an obsession. His generals warned him, "Do not divide your forces. Do not fight in the city. Do not underestimate the Russians." Hitler ignored them all. Skip 3. The steel trap closes. As German columns advanced toward Stalingrad, Soviet high command understood the gravity. Stalin issued Order Number 227, not one step back. It was not strategy, it was survival. Soviet soldiers were told to hold the city street by street, brick by brick, even if it meant dying where they stood. NKVD blocking units were placed behind retreating troops, ready to shoot anyone who fled. In Stalingrad, courage was not demanded, it was enforced. By late summer, German troops reached the outskirts of the city, confident the battle would last days. It lasted 200. IV. Firestorm, the Luftwaffe's first blow, August 23, 1942. The sky roared as hundreds of German bombers descended upon Stalingrad, unleashing the most devastating single-day air raid the Eastern Front had ever seen. The city ignited in a firestorm so intense it sucked oxygen from the streets, creating whirlwinds of flame that consumed entire families in seconds. Those who survived watched as their homes collapsed around them. Factories crumbled, hospitals burned, neighborhoods vanished. Tens of thousands of civilians were killed in a single day. Stalingrad was no longer a city. It was a wound, ragged, open, and bleeding. Into the rubble, the house-to-house war. The Germans soon discovered a terrible truth. They had not conquered Stalingrad. They had only entered its labyrinth. The city's ruins created a battlefield like no other, one where tanks struggled to move, artillery couldn't see its targets, and death lurked behind every doorway. This was a war of basements used as bunkers, sewers used as infiltration routes, factories turned into fortresses, snipers hidden in chimneys, grenades thrown through ceiling holes, hand-to-hand combat in pitch-black stairwells. The Germans called it Rattenkrieg, the Rat War. They had expected to fight an army. Instead, they fought shadows. Snipers, ghosts of Stalingrad. From the ruins emerged a breed of soldier unlike any in modern warfare, the snipers. Among them was the legendary Vasily Zaitsev, a shepherd from the Urals, who became a symbol of Soviet resistance. His rifle, often without a scope, claimed hundreds of German lives. The ruins turned sharpshooters into ghosts. One moment, a German officer would be giving orders. The next, he would fall with a bullet between his eyes, the shooter invisible. Every broken wall was a hiding spot. Every crack in the rubble, a window to death. And the Germans feared them. 8. The factories of blood. The fiercest battles erupted in 3 industrial complexes: the tractor factory, the Barricade factory, the Red October factory. These were not just buildings. They were concrete beasts that swallowed entire divisions. Soldiers fought among machinery still warm from recent production. Conveyors became barricades. Press machines stopped stamping steel and started hiding riflemen. To capture a single workshop often required hundreds of casualties. Men died over the distance of a dining table, over a single staircase, over a room with no roof. It was slaughter transformed into routine. IX, the Volga lifeline of the doomed across the wide, icy Volga River, Soviet reinforcements arrived under constant German fire. The crossing was a nightmare. Boats shattered by artillery, bodies floating in the water, medics overwhelmed, supplies burning before they touched the shore. Yet the flow never stopped. Every night, under moonless skies, new soldiers arrived, traumatized but determined. The city lived because the river bled. The final enemy. As winter swept across Stalingrad, temperatures plunged to -30 degrees Celsius. Wind turned exposed skin gray within minutes. Weapons froze. Men froze. Entire units vanished overnight, simply unable to withstand the cold. German soldiers burned furniture, books, even roofs of houses for warmth. Their coats were thin. Their boots were useless. Frostbite claimed fingers, toes, noses, sometimes lives. Soviet forces, though battered, were better prepared. Winter was their ally, and soon revenge would be their weapon. XI, Operation Uranus, the trap closes, November 19, 1942. While Hitler focused on capturing the last pockets of resistance near the river, the Soviets launched a massive counterattack. But not against the elite German divisions. They struck the weaker Romanian and Italian units guarding the flanks. The lines shattered like glass. Armored columns swept through, cutting off the German Sixth Army from the outside world. In just 4 days, over 300,000 Axis soldiers were trapped inside Stalingrad. The hunter had become the hunted. ... Encirclement, starvation, and despair. Within the pocket, chaos erupted. Food ran out, ammo ran out, hope ran out. Rations dropped to 50 grams of bread per day, less than a slice. Horses were slaughtered, then dogs. Then, according to some accounts, worse. Disease ravaged the ranks, typhus spread, frostbite turned skin black and brittle. Bodies lay frozen in the streets, stacked like firewood. And still, Hitler insisted, hold Stalingrad, surrender is forbidden. To him, the Sixth Army was not men, it was a symbol. 13. Paulus, the general with no way out. General Friedrich Paulus, commander of the Sixth Army, begged Berlin to allow a breakout. Hitler refused. He promoted Paulus to field marshal, a rank no German officer had ever surrendered with. It was a death sentence. Paulus understood the message. Die or shoot yourself, but Paulus did neither. He waited. 18. The final collapse. January 1943. The Soviets crushed the pocket piece by piece, district by district, factory by factory. German divisions fought until their ammo was gone, then fought with knives, then fought with their bare hands. When the end came, some units surrendered in groups, others disintegrated entirely. On February 2nd, the last remnants of the Sixth Army laid down their arms. What had begun as Hitler's obsession ended as the greatest defeat in German military history. Aftermath, a city of ghosts. When the guns fell silent, Stalingrad was unrecognizable. Of the city's 500,000 civilians, only a few thousand remained alive. Of the 300,000 Axis soldiers tracked, only around 5,000 would ever see their homes again. Stalingrad was victory, not without pride, but without joy. It was a grave that stretched across the horizon. Legacy. The turning point of the world. The Battle of Stalingrad changed everything. Hitler's aura of invincibility was shattered. A Red Army gained momentum it would never lose again. The world saw the limits of human endurance and the depths of human cruelty. But beyond strategy and politics, Stalingrad left behind stories. Stories of soldiers who fought until their last breath. Stories of civilians who endured the unendurable. Stories of sacrifice, horror, courage, and unimaginable suffering. Stalingrad was not just a battle. It was a wound carved into the memory of humanity. A frozen hell on earth, a turning point of history. A reminder that even in the darkest winter, hope, however faint, can endure. And that is the untold story of Stalingrad.